Hey, I'm not surprised, motherfuckers.
What's up, guys? Welcome to a official media outlet, Courtside Soundoff podcast. Josh Evanoff, Angel Ortega, and we're back again. We'll be talking about not a big of a week for basketball news, but it is a big week for news about us and a big week for combat sports, MMA, UFC, boxing. Before I get into that, I want to talk about Amazon, because Amazon is the number one online store today. It has been for years. It doesn't matter if you want games, books, movies. It's all at Amazon.com. If you buy through the link on our Podbean page or the YouTube page, it helps support the podcast. If you'd like to support us or you guys something you want, buy the link. It helps us, and you can help yourself as well. There's UFC last week, so we gotta jump into that. We have big news about us, but I do want to save that until the end of the podcast. But we do have to go roll with the punches, go our normal kind of way we do things, which we always start off with the UFC news. Last week UFC was in Sacramento. Not a super big card in terms of talent or rankings. However, a legend, Uriah Faber, Hall of Famer, was returning, and a top 5 matchup of women's bantamweights. I guess we should just start off with the main event. Jermaine Duranamy knocked out Aspen Ladd in 16 seconds. Aspen Ladd had a really bad weigh-in where she was shaking on the scales, and it was a really scary scene. And then Jermaine Duranamy went out, put her down with one shot, and then Herb Dean, called it off. Pretty controversial stoppage, but I was fine with it because really when you think about it, this woman was shaking on the scale. She's a young fighter too. She's only 24, 25. She should not be taking a whole lot of brain damage just early in her career. If you get put down with the first punch that gets thrown right after you had issues, you were shaking on the scale, you were clearly in pain, you arguably should not even fought, let alone have the opportunity to take more repeated blows to the head. And I think that if you disagree, that's fine, but I don't see your viewpoint at all. And Jermaine Duranamy, she was about to crank and hit her with like a bus driver uppercut, right whenever it got called off. So, it's up to you if you want to get mad about it, but I thought it was a fine stoppage. In the co-main event, I have never been more wrong in my entire life. Uriah Faber defeated Ricky Simon in 46 seconds TKO. His first TKO win in 13 years. There's your fact of the day. Bass beat, who did he beat? In the WEC 2007, I can't remember who he beat, but a long time ago. This one was also a bit of a controversial stoppage, but not to me. Ricky Simon didn't complain. I thought it was a fine stoppage. Hit him with a big right hand. It looked like Simone actually rocked Faber with a left hook, big left hook, right as soon as the fight started. And then he threw a knee, and it looked like he was going in for the kill. Uriah hit him with a big overhand right. He was coming in. He put him down, and he followed up with some ground and pound, and that was it. The fight after that was Josh Emmett, Mirsad Bektic. A pretty good matchup of top 10, top 12 featherweights. I think I picked Bektic, but I wasn't really, I don't know, I don't think we talked about it actually on the podcast, but I know for my official K-Shot press prediction, I did pick Bektic. I think he's a guy with a lot of potential. However, I'm not sure if his chin's a bit lacking, or Josh Emmett just has freaky power. And it seems like Josh Emmett just has freaky power. He went ahead and put him down with, I believe, a jab, and then he just followed up and TKO win in the first round. By the way, he's also from Team Alpha Male, and Team Alpha Male has apparently a ridiculous advantage at home because also on the card, Andre Fili defeated Shimon Morales inside one round. And then my personal favorite fight of the day was Ryan Hall defeating Darren Elkins. K1 Ryan Hall defeating Darren Elkins, dropping him like 5 times. That was it. Good wins all around. Angel, what were your thoughts on, I know you didn't see the main, but what were your thoughts about the co-main and Uriah Faber getting the big victory?
I said it here. I've been making these bold predictions that are not intelligent whatsoever and have no good analysis at all. I mean, I guess with the Uriah one, I guess I used some logic behind it. Apparently my logic wasn't good enough because it won't be a knockout. But hey, man, I was right, and that's all I care about. That's another one over you, Josh, so that makes me happy.
Good for you, man. Good for you. Congratulations. I think I'm still doing a bit better in the overall predictions, but I don't know. You certainly have gotten the the more weird ones because you're willing to go out there and make your predictions, and I try to use logic and reasoning.
I need to start making bets on these big ones.
You really should, because I believe Uriah was the biggest underdog on the main card.
I need to look that up later just out of curiosity.
Yeah. Anyways, I believe that's all we have out of this card, because I know you didn't watch anything else, did you?
I sadly did not. And I wish I would have, because it actually looked like a fun card to watch, because I looked at the outcomes and there was a lot of knockouts, and who knows how the decisions went, but I imagine
it was a really fun card to watch.
Alright. So, I'm sad I missed out on that.
You did not miss out. I mean, you did miss out on a bit, but...
Okay, well, it could have been worse.
Yeah, well, let's see if you can, actually, I don't think we'll be able to watch this UFC San Antonio card till the next day, but we'll say that reason for the end. But, UFC San Antonio is a pretty good card, and that one is tomorrow night, from San Antonio, Texas, obviously. Rafael Dos Anjos versus Leon Edwards in the main event. Leon Edwards is currently beating every single person at welterweight, that they put in front of him. He's on a ridiculous streak right now, and he's still ranked only number 12, which is ridiculous. Guy has wins over Brian Barberena, Vincent Lueck, sorry, if I mispronounce his name, Albert Tumanov, Seth Baczynski, Peter Sabata. He dominated Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and then he beat Gunnar Nelson earlier this year. He's going up against Rafael Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos got a win over Kevin Lee earlier this year, but outside of that, he was struggling. He lost to Colby, Covington, and Kamaru Usman back-to-back. Oh, man, I'm going to pick Leon Edwards, and I don't have a whole lot of reason behind it. But Leon is just a guy that adapts to his opponents. He does really, really well, he's really good at adapting on the style of his opponent. Gunnar Nelson, obviously a ground ace, really good karate guy. He adapted very, very well, dropped him, did well on the ground, got well out of positions, survived when he was there. Donald Cerrone kept the fight on the feet, despite the fact that Donald tried to take it to the ground, kept it on the feet, outstruck him, cut him all up, stopped Peter Sabata on the feet. Decision, Vincent Lueck. I'm gonna take Leon Edwards here. I'm gonna pick him until he loses, because he's done really, really well. In the UFC, he's grown a lot as a fighter, and Rafael Dos Anjos his recent fights has not given me much, to inspire hope. In the co-main event, Alexei Oleinik, Walt Harris. Walt Harris hits hard as a truck, and he's, like I said multiple times on this podcast, he's my dark horse in the heavyweight division. He's my dark horse, most powerful guy. He's still 36 years old, but he's on a 3-fight win streak, defeated Sergey Spivak, Andrei Arlovsky, Daniel Spitz. And really, his only real loss before that was Fabricio Verdum. He's had, 7 fights, and of those 7, 5 of those have been wins. 1 was a DQ, and 1 was an actual loss to Fabricio Verdum. He's on a really good streak right now. I'm gonna take him again. I think he's gonna knock out Alexei Oleinik. Oleinik, obviously coming off that main event, lost to Alistair Overeem earlier this year, and I did not think he looked very good there. But who knows, maybe he'll pull some old chicks out. Fight I'm really looking forward to, Greg Hardy, Juan Adams. Greg Hardy, obviously former NFL player, issues with domestic violence, very controversial figure in the UFC. But he is a guy that's, only 30. He has a lot of potential. He's 4-1. Got his first UFC victory earlier this year. He's staying very active. This is his 3rd fight this year. He beat Dmitry Smolikov. Juan Adams is a pretty good guy. He has a lot of natural talent, a lot of good raw power. However, he's not seemed to take training too seriously. But he's taken this thing very, very seriously. He hates Greg Hardy. He's had put, hashtag fuck Greg Hardy, trying to get that fight for a long time. He got that fight. Has a lot of issues due to his past and his domestic violence. But here's the way I look at it. I really think that Juan Adams is too hittable, and I think there's a decent chance he gets committal, overreaches, and he gets put down by Greg Hardy. That's my official prediction, but I would not be shocked to see Juan Adams completely dominate him either. And then the last fight we're going to talk about, there's a couple other fights on the main card, but I think the most interesting one, just because it's so weird that it hasn't happened already, Andrei Arlovsky, Ben Rothwell, I want to say is a rematch, but it's also, I don't remember them ever fighting, but I feel like they fought before, and it's really messing with my head. But regardless, this fight is really, really interesting because it's a matchup of guys who have been struggling a lot, and actually I just remember that they fought in Affliction. So, and Arlovsky won that one. Guys who've been struggling a lot. Ben also had issues with USADA. He's came back, lost since then. Arlovsky's lost a lot recently. I'm gonna take Arlovsky just because this fight would have been so awesome. Like, this has got to be, like, in terms of rematches, one of the weirder ones. But we'll see what happens. Angel, are there any fights on the main card of UC San Antonio that you want to talk about or point out?
Good. I'm excited for Greg Hardy versus Juan Adams because I even had this fight in my head just because of the record. Nothing too massive either. Both making their name right. And let me just say this right now: if it wasn't for that, that knee to the head, I'm pretty sure it was a knee to the head. Got a Greg Hardy. Greg Hardy could easily be 5-0 right now. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. I think it was a knee to the head while the guy was down.
It was a big knee to Alan Crowder's head, and I think that if he doesn't throw that knee, he probably wins.
He probably wins. It was looking pretty good. And then Juan just lost the fight not too long ago against he has a hard ass name to pronounce.
Arjan Bulthar.
Yeah, he wanted to out wrestle him. It wasn't a smart idea. I think they were going back and forth. I think Juan said he was going to out wrestle his ass, right? Some shit like that.
Something like that.
Didn't end up working out well for Juan. So, I like both guys. I think they're both fun to watch. At the end of the day, at least entertainment-wise, I don't care who wins. They have all their wins by finish, both of them. I don't know if it's going to be a finish, but if it is, holy shit, right? Man. I want to take Greg. I like what I saw out of Greg. Obviously, he's not like the perfect guy. He doesn't have like all that all aroundness. And and they're both pretty raw. I don't know if you can. I think you would agree on me with that, right? To a certain extent, they're like very raw. Like they're not fully.
Oh yeah, they're both incredibly raw, especially Greg Hardy.
Yeah, like they don't have everything there. Like obviously some of them might have like little aspects that help them, but there's not like a natural, extreme talent. Where it's like, even though he's not fully developed, he will still find success no matter what. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I see it in that aspect. But I think Greg wins. I like what I saw to Greg. I saw Juan's last two fights, the one he lost and then obviously the one he won when he was on the streak, and I thought that was going pretty well. I found that really entertaining. Also, I do want to shout out my girl in the preliminary, Irene. She's fighting against Raquel Pennington.
Irene Aldana?
Yes, I'm excited for that.
It's going to be a banger of a fight. They both like to swing and bang.
And they got a common opponent in Besh. So, she missed weight, but still a common opponent.
6 pounds.
Still a common opponent. Never explained why. I don't know if she did later on, but at least for I know the day after, there was still no explanation as to why.
Well, I didn't expect one out of Bitchko, yeah.
Well, as for anything else on this card, there's nothing else I want to mention right now, because I don't know if we're going to be watching it.
Well, I'm definitely going to watch it at some point. I don't really know how much of it I'll watch. I was originally going to write up some fights for KJ Press. That's not going to happen anymore, so which we'll talk about in a bit. So you guys stay tuned for that one. So I believe that does kind of wrap up that part of the card. There's a UFC card next week that I'm really looking forward to, which is 247. That headlined by Max Holloway, Frankie Edgar, and Chris Cyborg or Felicia Spencer. That one's going to be a really, really fun pay-per-view. I said 247. I meant 240. I think I said 247. Regardless, that one's going to be a really fun card. But that does wrap up UFC Talk this week. We do have a real quick thing about basketball news. CP3 trade not happening. We talked about last week, Oklahoma City Thunder traded Russell Westbrook for 4 first-round picks and CP3. And basically the idea was we're going to listen to CP3 and we're going to try to move him. Miami he was linked to. Only Miami was linked to. And apparently the holdup was Adrian Wojnarowski said something along the lines of Miami wants to get a pick or two back from OKC in order to take on Chris Paul and his massive contract. Which OKC's like, we don't care. Okay, here's the thing. OKC, they're not in a big rush to trade Chris Paul, because if they're not going to benefit, what's the big deal? Because really, he's the only real person on our team making money besides Steven Adams. And if not, he can just be our tank commander. And if not, we can just pay him to sit at home. Or we could buy him out. We have multiple options with Chris Paul. and none of which should result in trading their picks away, especially considering they have 10 first-round picks from other teams. They just acquired 10 first from 4 from the Rockets, 5 from the Clippers, and 1 from the Nuggets. So they're fine. They're not going to trade those picks away, especially the Heat would likely benefit. They'd love to have Chris Paul, but just not his massive contract. Angel, what do you think about CP3 staying with the Thunder, not going to Miami, and really all that stuff surrounding his trade talks?
It's a fucking disgusting contract, man. I don't think I would even want to take that on, even if my team needed a point guard in any way. It's like the guy's old, right, to begin with. Granted, he's a really good veteran for what it is. But it's like, how much can you get out of a guy who doesn't have that much left? You know what I mean? That's kind of like the big thing for me. Because maybe under a situation where it's like the whole team is insanely good, and then he's just there to complement it on top, it's like, then I can maybe accept it then. But even then, it's just the money aspect, which wouldn't, like, let me do it. It's just that. It's just, if the money was, like, if the contract would have been a little bit better, he was making a lot less, I think more teams would have been willing to take it on. A lot more teams. Even with his old age, just because he's a good guard, who can make it, can still, like, work even without, like, that athleticism that he's missing. That at one point he had, but sadly now doesn't, because, obviously age has hit him like a truck. And obviously he has no control over that. I mean, I guess that would have been a nice fit, but they would have to, like, both sides would have had to, like, give up a fair bit just to make it even out. I guess it would have evened out, like, there would have been some way where it would have worked out well. But, I mean, I can't really blame any side for wanting something or not, like, wanting to not give something up either. Because OKC's fine how they are right now. I mean, they can deal with CP3. It's no big deal to them right now. They're not worried about anything right now, except waiting until these picks come into fruition, and one of them turns out to be good, or they put them together and get one good guy and get a couple good guys or something like that. Overall, though, I can't blame any team for, like, not wanting to take the contract on or not wanting to give him up, because they would have to give up more stuff along just to get him out of there. But yeah, that's like all in that realm of that, because there's not anything, like, how do I say it? There's just no one, I think, there's no team that I think could take on that contract and not take a hit in the luxury tax. I think the team with the most money right now is, like, the Hawks, and it's like $7 million, and it's like, even then, that won't be enough to keep the man CP3's contract going smooth without any issues, Yeah. Regarding basketball news, that's it, right? He's staying with the Thunder.
That is literally only big news over the past week, and even then, that's not really big news unless you're a fan of the Thunder or a fan of the Heat, because those are, like, really the only team that was linked to Chris Paul was the Miami Heat. And Woj came out and said, like he said, they couldn't come to a deal, looking like they're not going to come to a deal at all, and they're preparing to begin the season together. And as a fan, I'm cool with that. I like Chris Paul. I think he'd be a good tank commander. I am a bit worried if he wins us too many games, though. I mean, obviously, I don't want to be like the 10th seed or anything like that. We'll probably be more like 12. I'm willing to bet he gets injured or has a quote-unquote injury. Like D-Book has had a couple times for the Suns, just gets injured, sits out a couple games. Except Chris Paul is actually probably going to get injured because it's Chris Paul. And he's getting up there in age, and age is taking a number on him. But, that's all of basketball news. And in case you're wondering, no, this is not going to be nearly as long as a podcast as it normally is, because there's not really much news this week. However, there's a giant boxing match tomorrow night, which we're sure to talk about. The big one, probably one of the bigger matches this year. Manny Pacquiao taking on Keith Thurman for the WBA welterweight championship, super welterweight, excuse me. And, listen, man, this one's going to be a lot of fun. Whenever Manny Pacquiao fights, is always kind of a big deal. Keith Thurman, undefeated guy, 29-0, returned after a couple injuries. Pacquiao, he's currently on he's doing pretty well for himself lately, ever since the Jeff Horn loss, which you can argue he should not have lost. He's won 2 in a row, including Lucas Matisse and Adrian Broner. Dominated Broner, but Broner thought he won. Thurman, on the other hand, 29-0. He's beat a couple good guys, Robert Guerrero, Danny Garcia, Sean Porter. However, that was all prior to a long list of injuries that he had. He had a long list of injuries after 2017, March 4th, 2017. Last time he fought, he beat Danny Garcia, and then he got injured. He was out for nearly 2 years. He came back, and he fought Josito Lopez. Now, Josito Lopez is kind of, I don't really like this word, but a journeyman for all intents and purposes. He's 36-8. He's really lost to every single let me be clear. He beat Victor Ortiz, but outside of that, he's lost to every single big person he's been matched up against. Lost to Jesse Vargas, Canelo Alvarez, Marcos Maidana, Adrian Broner, and then he rocked Keith Thurman really bad. You can argue he should have beat him. Instead, it ended up being a majority draw. I have my opinions, but I want to hear your opinions first on this matchup and really who you got and why.
I mean, from stuff I've been hearing, it's like there's been like a couple holes in Keith's like overall boxing, like certain things that got exposed in that match that people have been talking about because he got rocked. So they want to see that. Like, I wonder if that's going to translate over to the Manny fight. But then, granted, again, Manny has had some bad tendencies over his very long career, like walking into punches and literally dying. Granted, I think he's only been finished, 3 times in his career? Out of the 7 losses, only finished 3 times. And,
really one of those has been in like the last 15 years.
Yeah, and then two of those were super early on in the career, like within the first 20 fights, which is crazy to think that the first 20 is his first couple fights, because that's a lot of fights, but this man's fought 60, 68 total, well, I guess it's 70, right? Something like that, 70 total fights with the draws and losses in there. And the losses. But there's only been one that's recent, and it was because he really walked into a punch. Like, if you go watch that video, he, doesn't, fully, walk into it, but he, goes into the punch. And he's had that tendency before. There's people who talk about this a lot. You can go back and watch video, and he'll go into these punches. It's, a known thing. So, if Keith Thurman catches him, going into it, which, I mean, we've seen what happens when a knee or a fist, someone goes into it, you fucking die. So, if that happens, Keith Thurman is not going to let Manny walk away without hurting him. Overall, Keith is a good boxer. I can't bet against him because he's fought really good people. He has Sean Porter and Danny Garcia, as one of his most recent fights. Granted, it's been a minute. But those are 2 pretty good names to have under, your belt. And obviously Manny, what is there to say? It speaks for himself, the whole resume. I think if Manny does win, it's via points. If Keith wins, it's because of a stoppage. I think that's what happens. He finishes Manny. I don't think Keith wins because he outboxes Manny. I think Manny wins only by outboxing Keith. I don't think he finishes Keith.
That's interesting.
That's what I think.
That's not what I expected.
Yeah, I think if Manny wins, it's because he goes all 12 rounds and outboxes Keith. Granted, anything could happen.
Well, who do you think's gonna win though?
What I think's gonna win? I have no fucking clue, Dave. But gun to my head. I mean, it's not that Keith can't win by going all 12 rounds. I'm not saying that's not a possibility. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, the way I think, I imagine him winning, right? The fight happens, and the way I think it would happen is Keith wins via finish, right? In the perfect world. I'm not saying in the perfect, I'm just saying this in a perfect scenario, right? In a perfect world, Keith wins via finish. And then Manny wins via decision. Gun to my head, though, this is so hard, man. Because it's Keith has been gone for a fat minute now. There's a couple holes in his game that stuck out against a not very good opponent. Well, not a bad opponent either, but not an opponent that was clearly at the same level as him. Or at one point the same level as him, right? And then Manny, Manny fucking looked amazing against Broner, dude. It was crazy.
He really did.
He looked insanely. I saw that match. Like, randomly, I don't know why. I didn't know what was going on. I just saw Manny was boxing, and I ended up watching the whole Manny boxing match. And Manny looked fucking disgusting, dude. Like, he really did. I think I should take Manny here, just because he's still fighting. He looked really good in his last match, and the match before that he had a TKO, and he's looking fine. He hasn't had like a super big break, he hasn't been finished in years. He's fought really good opponents, even at the age he's at now. I think Manny wins.
Really?
Exactly. Yeah, I think Manny can win. Yeah. I think Manny can beat Keith Thurman. I think there's a world where Manny beats Keith Thurman. I'll say it like that. Maybe it's not this world, but there's a world where he wins it.
Well, I'll say this. The world that I'm living in, I am actually going to pick Manny Pacquiao to beat Keith Thurman. And I have a lot of reasons. I think his long layoff and his injuries have definitely plagued him, because really, the same guy that we saw in 2017 is not the same guy that we saw at the beginning of this year get rocked horribly, he should have lost, against kind of a journeyman guy. The guy that beat Sean Porter and Danny Garcia is not the same guy that was in there with Josito Lopez. He looked rocked, he looked slower, not as sharp, and obviously you can argue that's due to ring rust, but even then, it didn't seem like it was ring rust to me. It seemed more like he was just kind of a combination of Josito Lopez having a great performance, but full credit to him. However, it just seems like, I don't know, man. Just recent performances always, I have a really bad thing with recency bias. I really do. I'll be honest with it. I have a really bad thing with recency bias. I see, guys underperform in a fight, and I'll think they'll lose the next one. And obviously, sometimes you just have a bad night. That's how boxing is. That's how MMA is. That's how basketball is. You can have a bad night. But just based off of recent performances. And here's the thing about Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao is 40. He's 40 years of age. He has been in over 100 boxing matches. If you take his amateur career and his professional career, he went 64 as an amateur and 61, 7-2 as a professional. That's well over 100. That's over 120. Do you think the miles would add up, and you think the age would add up and all that stuff? But here's the thing, is that he's still at the age of 40, beating really good dudes. Not even that, but he's dominating them. Adrian Broner, he dominated him. Now, I know Adrian Broner thought he won. Nobody else did. In fact, it was complete domination. I did not see a single round there that I thought, you know what, I think I gave 10 rounds to Manny, 11, and Adrian Broner's pretty past his prime. Fine, let's not even bring up Broner then. Lucas Matisse. Lucas Matisse was the WBA regular, welterweight champion at that time. He dominated him and finished him. Okay? Before that, Jeff Horn. That was a closer fight that people give credit to. I can see why you thought Jeff Horn won, and I didn't really have that big of an issue with it, not gonna lie to you guys. But even then, it seemed more like he lost. I call it the Anderson Silva principle. Basically, choosing not to dominate, choosing to mess around, and not really going for the kill whenever you should. I'm getting that from Anderson Silva's long, multiple fights where he just kind of messes around. And Manny wasn't really messing around. However, he was not going for the kill in the 9th round. Whenever Jeff Horn just rocked bloody and they almost stopped it, he did not go for the kill. He probably should have, and you could argue that he should have in the 10th, the 11th, the 12th. He was hitting him pretty much at all times he wanted to. However, Jeff Horn just threw more and missed more, but, activity wins, I guess, in this scenario. Before that, he dominated Jesse Vargas. Before that, he beat and dominated Timothy Bradley. Before that was the Floyd fight, waste of $100, okay? But fine, still, Floyd Mayweather, greatest of his generation, fine, we'll give you a pass. Also dealing with a shoulder injury, which we'd later find out. Before that, Algieri, Bradley, and Rios. That's just his last probably, 10 or so. I'm just throwing them out there. That's his last recent fights, right? There's nothing to me that says this guy's going to get dominated by Keith Thurman coming off an injury and a long layoff. And looking like the guy who, struggled against Josito Lopez. I don't see that happening, and you have an interesting point of you think that if Manny wins, it's going to be via points. I'm actually more inclined to think that if Manny wins, it'd be via stoppage. I really don't see. I think if Keith Thurman wins this, he's going to be on points. I don't think he's going to stop Pacquiao. Because I think counting on stopping Manny Pacquiao is not something that you should really do. He only has 3 knockout losses in over 120 fights. So, and even then, only one of those has happened in like the last 15 years. That was the one whenever he walked into Marquez's punch in 2012. That was 7 years ago now, which is kind of crazy, but it was 7 years ago. Listen, man, I'm gonna officially take Manny via, good into my head prediction, Manny via points. Because really, as much as Manny still has punching power, he nearly finished Jeff Horn, he did finish Matisse, he did rock Broner. He really only has 1 stoppage win in like the past, I want to say 10 years? 2 in the past 10 years? Yeah, I'm looking at his record right now. He stopped Cotto in the 12th round in November 2009, so technically that's within 10 years. And then Matisse in 2018. So, obviously I could be wrong. Uriah Faber, didn't get a knockout win for 13 years, then he knocked out Ricky Simone. Things happen in combat sports. But I'm going to officially take Pacquiao via decision.
Okay, so we're on the same page for the most part, yeah.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah. We got another fight, though. We got Dillian White versus Oscar Rivas, the other heavyweight.
I forgot to throw that one in our thing, but let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's the same night. I don't know what time, same day I should say. I guess it's earlier in the day because you're doing it in England, pretty sure. So that's exciting.
That's really exciting. I've actually been somebody who's pretty high on Dillian White, not on Oscar Rivas that much. Rivas, I know to me, Oscar Rivas is most notorious for beating up my man Fabio Maldonado, handing him his first professional loss. But looking at Dillian White's past performances, ever since he lost to Joshua, he's had a lot of really good wins. He beat David Allen, Chirosa twice, knocked out Chirosa the second time, and in 2018, he beat Joseph Parker. He nearly murdered Lucas Brown. I remember seeing that live, and I thought, oh my god, we just saw Lucas Brown die. Like, you seen that knockout? I thought he died. The way he went down, it was so brutal. Sky Sports did not show a replay. It was brutal. And I was like, oh my god, he's dead. But Lucas Brown, he's not dead, he fought Daniel Cormier, so if he can take that, he can take anything. Fun fact for you, he did fight Daniel Cormier in 2010 or something like that. A long time ago. But anyways, connecting those two sports. I'm gonna take Dillian White here. I'm really, really high on him. I've always been high on him. Even though he lost to Joshua, that's still his only loss. I like Rivas, but I don't think he's gonna beat Dillian White. I think Dillian White has too much of punching power. I think he's gonna find the spot. And I don't know if he finished. I'm willing to bet he doesn't finish him, honestly. But I'm not very inspired by Oscar Rivas' recent performances. Really, he beat the shell of Bryant Jennings via TKO in the 12th, and then he didn't even stop Fabio Maldonado. He just beat him via decision in 2018. Those are his 2 best wins on his record. So.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, this is his fight to jump up into those top, I'd say 5 guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Povetkin's gonna kind of out.
Povetkin's pretty close to retirement.
Well, he's pretty much out. Like, we're not gonna see him in fighting any of those top 4 guys, But
yeah,
I don't think so. At least not. I mean, he might fight guys below that. Like, I could see maybe a Pulev fight happening, right? For example, just play like that. But I don't think he'll be, fighting for any major belt here within, in this time. But I like Oscar, though. That's the thing. At the same time, it's like, did that loss to Joshua change, Dillian? Is he a new man now? That's what I want to know. I think this is in this match, I think I'll, accept it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He needs that, that opportunity again to, prove himself, and maybe even against Joshua again. It's been a minute, that happened in 2015, that was a long time ago for them, for both of them, especially for Dillian. And ever since then, he's recovered pretty well, like you said, beating some pretty good competition. And then if he gets this fight, if he beats Oscar, who's this guy who's, I think, like, who's gonna make, like, this is his make or break, like, fight, I'd say. Like, I'm not gonna say he's gonna miss out on, getting to the top if he doesn't win this, but this would help him a lot if he, beat Dillian here, because then he'd be undefeated, and then he'd be up top with those top 5 guys, and then he'd be like, who's Oscar's gonna fight next? You know what I mean? Now, if Dillian wins, I guess it doesn't boost him too much. Like, I guess, like, it'll definitely help him a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, just because Oscar doesn't have that major win, I don't know how much it's going to help him. I think if this fight helps Oscar more than it helps Dillian, who I think will win, I don't know for sure. Like, I want to throw a name out there, but I think Dillian's the safer option for sure. But at the same time, I feel like Oscar could do it. Like, there's a world. I was like saying this. There's a world where this guy wins. Granted, there's a world where everybody wins, right? There's a world where I'm rich, and I'm not doing a podcast. But that's besides the point.
Damn, you're saying you're not going to do the podcast if you're rich?
No. It'd be in a better setting. We'd be in a studio.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah, see? That or my robot me would be doing it. But that's besides the point. I think I'll take Dillian. I'll be safe with my pick. And I gotta take Oscar. I think, like I said, I gave you my breakdown on why how I think the fight helps the other. Dillian's at home. We know the Englishmen love their fighters. They defend them till the end of time. They'll defend Joshua till the end of time. Even if he loses again. They'll say he's hurt. They'll say something, man. But they'll defend him till the end of time. I'd take Dillian here. I don't know via what, but because I don't want to predict that. I just don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited though. Good boxing match here. Two really exciting boxing matches. Two exciting boxing matches going down tomorrow. I think we should get on to our announcement unless you have something else to say.
I do have something to say. I got to talk about Target. Because Target is one of the greatest stores today. It doesn't matter if you're buying online or buying a store. It's quality with a good price. Target is one of our sponsors. Helps you bring quality podcasts each and every week. You can buy the link on Podbean. Help support us. Target, expect more, pay less. Alright, enough about Target, enough about Amazon, enough about boxing, despite the fact that tomorrow's going to be awesome. Enough about MMA, despite the fact that tomorrow's going to be awesome. We've been talking about the Big 3 podcast the last couple of weeks, really ever since the beginning of the season. We're on week 5 now. And as you guys know, if you listen to the podcast and you're friends with them in real life, or if you know, because you follow us on Twitter and I constantly talk about it, we're based out of Kansas City. We obviously live in the Kansas City surrounding area. And if you know that, then you know that the Big 3 basketball is coming to the Sprint Center, coming to Kansas City, Saturday, the 20th. And we applied just kind of on a whim to get official media credentials to the event and to be able to interview some of the players and make a special edition of the podcast for you guys. And that is exactly what is happening. I've had this plan ever since we applied that we were going to. I was gonna we were interviews, put some clips together, make a special edition of the podcast, which that should be coming out relatively soon. After it happens, but we did, right before we started filming, we got the official, confirmation email that we will be approved for press credentials, Big 3 Week 5 in Kansas City, get access to, some of the players, get to interview them, get to interview some people, be courtside, stuff like that, and we are very, very grateful. We are very, happy for this opportunity. We're now officially the biggest media outlet in the country. But there's a couple games tomorrow. Three's Company, Buvak, Triplets, and Power, Tri-State, Three-Headed Monsters. A couple good games. That we're going to be there to see live, be able to talk to people. And we're really excited for this. Andrew, do you have something you want to say? Because I know I'm super hyped about this whole thing.
I am beyond excited. It was getting very grim there because we didn't know if we were going to get the media passes or not. It's literally the day before of the, games. Last night I refreshed my email, after I got home from work. I didn't see anything, and I thought that was it. I thought we weren't gonna get them. I was like, maybe I'll wake up tomorrow and they'll be there. I woke up in the morning, checked my email, there was nothing. Before we started recording, I went and had breakfast for a little bit. Josh had breakfast too. I get on. He's like, check your email, because I got the email. I checked my email. We weren't sure if we were both going to get in. I checked my email. I got my confirmation email, and it was probably one of the most exciting moments of my life. Besides, well, many things, but definitely one of the most exciting moments, because I always in my life was curious about how it'd be to be courtside, part of media for something, and I finally get to be there at a pretty big event full of a lot of ex-NBA players, ex-NBA legends, and there might be even some some pretty famous people there. I know there's a lot of famous people who like going to these games, checking them out just because they like seeing some of the players who used to be in the league and seeing them be out there and perform. So I'm really excited. I'm beyond excited. I can't even describe how I feel right now. There's a lot of people out there who I'm excited to see play. Gonna try to be neutral, because when it's media, but I'm definitely I might jump up a little bit here and there, but on both sides though, each team, just to show that I have excitement for both sides and show no favoritism, because I want to still be professional at the end of the day. I don't know if the Big 3 is listening to this or the media is, but thank you for giving us this opportunity, allowing us to go out there. I am beyond excited. I'm taking a lot of time off from other things that have going on in my life just to go. School, work, but I'm perfectly fine with it, because, I don't know whenever I'll have this opportunity again to do this, especially since I'm doing it with my friend, and I don't know. That's kind of it. I'm just really excited.
As am I. Yeah, like you said, for the record, you guys know, if you know anything about me, or if you literally only listen to the podcast, if you just stumbled onto this, I do media stuff. I want to be a journalist when I grow up. No, I'm gonna go to college for journalism, and I do certain media things. I've been to a handful of MMA events, considering that's my main forte. HIPress.com, right for fans. I did MMA. A couple other sites in my past. I've done some freelancing stuff, but I've never been to anything outside of MMA. And this is far and away the biggest thing I've gone to. I've gone to Invicta FC, which is probably the most notable thing I've gone to. I've gone to some fights, I've interviewed some fighters, but nothing like this. I'm really, really excited. I have a lot of ideas for how tomorrow's going to go. If you're looking for stuff to watch, I'm planning on taking video of the post-game interviews and putting them up on your YouTube channel, and I'm probably going to cut some of those together, combined with clips of probably me and Angel talking. That's kind of my plan, and make a special podcast which will be on Spotify, iTunes, and all the whole shebang of all the stuff that gets uploaded. And I'm actually going to announce this right now. I'm making an Instagram page so you guys can see some of the photos and videos that are going to go, and you can find them there. The Twitter's also going to be doing probably some live play-by-play stuff if I had to guess. But also, me and Angel haven't really talked about this, considering we found this out approximately 45 minutes ago. These are all just plans that I have in my head, then kind of airing out loud. I'm not sure how many things will come to fruition, but we'll see what does, because this did come to fruition. I remember a couple of years ago watching the Big 3, thinking it's really, really cool, and I would get to be there live, be courtside, and be a part of some media stuff. And I think it's a really cool announcement. I think that I've been dying to talk about it, which I'm pretty sure why the rest of the podcast is probably short, because we probably could have stretched it out longer if we wanted to, but I'm really, really excited. Thank you guys for all your support, but I do believe that that should wrap us up. I'm Josh Evanoff, at Josh Evanoff on Twitter. He's at AngelTaker_01. And if you guys want to see all the stuff, at Courtside Sound1 on Twitter as well. We're going to make this official announcement. If you guys didn't want to watch the podcast, we're going to make it on the Twitter and on a couple other pages. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for helping us, all your support over the past couple months of this podcast has been a thing. I believe this is week 19 of the podcast being around, week 18, week 19, somewhere around there. So thank you guys for all your continued support. We love you guys. So peace and butt grease. Mouse click.